Om Vishnapadaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravatta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Today, Balaram Shakti Pro, there is some internet issues for Proju, so we will not be having Sara Darshan. We'll directly have Prabhupada. So we'll try to understand what Prabhupada's instruction in this purport. So we will try to just revise what all the instructions Swayambhuman is giving. They are very nice instructions. So we try to understand how it is a non-violent communication. And is the non-violent communication we can learn from Bhagavatam. The principles are already there in our Shastras. Only thing is we should try to derive them properly. And so from here, Swayambhumana starts. He says that, my dear son, please stop. It is not good to become unnecessarily angry. It is the path to hellish life. Now you are going beyond the limit by killing actions who are actually not offenders. And that's what he starts. Not going to become angry. And then from here, he says that the killing of sinless extras which you have undertaken is not at all approved by authorities and it's not befitting our family. So this is what he says. Befitting our family means he is giving a connection to him, identity. We discussed action is proportionate to ego. This is whatever our ego, this is actually what our sanskaras are meant for. So samskaras give ego. Like we have all the sanskaras, many from Garbhadan samskara and all. So basically they are all meant to give a certain ego to us. When Upanayana Sanskara is done, so that time the boy is given a ego that you are a brahmachari. So he starts acting like a brahmachari. Then Vivaha Yajna, when this Sanskara happens, the boy behaves like a husband and girl behaves like a wife. So basically all these sanskaras are meant to give a certain type of ego which is proportionate to action, right? Which will determine our action. Like, and then he is very empathetic also. He separates the problem for the person. So I understand you are going through that problem. It has been proved that you are very affectionate towards your brother and greatly aggrieved at his being killed by actions. But just consider for one action, you have killed many others. So I know that you are feeling, but then he says that now he starts giving the solution for him. So he empathized with the problem. He separated the problem from the person and he gave him right identity. Now he is giving a philosophical answer. So first thing is like what Krishna did to Arjuna. He told, "Oh, you are Bharata. Kutastva Kashmalan. How come this impurity come upon you? So you are such a great warrior." And then he says you are Parantapa and all these things. And then Krishna starts telling you are not the body, spirit, soul, and how the body is separate from all the activities. So the soul is separate from all the activities that are happening. The same thing Swayambhuman also follows the system. He says that you should not accept the body as a self and thus like animals kill the bodies of others. This is especially forbidden by saintly persons and who follow the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, he further gives his identity in that way. He says, "Oh, saintly people don't do it. They don't identify." Then he says, "Oh, you are such a special person. Why? It is very difficult to achieve the spiritual abode. You are very special. He is trying to help him to restore his consciousness. Because at the same level of consciousness, when we are emotional, we cannot solve the problem. We need to come to the level of buddhi, raise our consciousness, and then only we can solve any problem. So in our life also, if we are going through certain problem, the problem is because of our consciousness only. If we can raise our consciousness with the help of shastras and proper association, we can overcome. That is no more a problem. And people try to solve. This is give me a solution for the problem. No, you don't get solution for the problem like that. You get solution for the problem when we raise our consciousness. This is the formula. The solution for problem is to raise our consciousness. Even Albert Einstein says that. So the problem that we created this at a certain level of mind cannot be solved at the same level. You should increase your consciousness. So here, Dhruva is helped by Swayambhu Manu that Are you are of a different level only. Why you are doing this? So immediately his consciousness awakens. Same thing, like when a small child is crying for a broken toy, mother comes. What she does, she will try to pacify. Basically, what she does, she try to tell him that oh, it's already a broken, it's not a good toy. I'll give you a good one, new one. What she is doing, she's trying to make him come out of that by giving a different higher level of consciousness. So this is what we all need to learn. To if we are having some problem, don't try to solve the problem like that. First, that's why we say na, any problem we say chant Hare Krishna. It looks like why people for everything they tell chant Hare Krishna. What happens when we chant Hare Krishna? It raises our consciousness. So that is the formula. And then the problem looks no more a problem. This is not a big thing. I can handle it. And this is even health issues, relationship issues, any other issues. We all have to work on this section, this part only, which is very, very helpful. And here we see Dhruv Maharaj is going to some crisis in his life, and how is Swayambhu Manu is helping? He's helping him, not that, okay, now you are killed, I will also come and help you in killing. No, he's saying, okay, Dhruva, let it be, I understand you are having a problem, but we will figure it out. You are a great person, and your what you have achieved, nobody could achieve. So he's trying to help you in that way. And but you are so fortunate, you are already destined to go to the abode of by worshipping him. Very difficult to achieve. And he says, because you are a pure devotee of Lord, and Lord is always thinking of you, you are also recognized by all his confidential devotees. Your life is meant for exemplary behavior, and therefore surprised why have you undertaken such an abominable task. So it is not befitting you. You are so this is also very in connection to that. You are a devotee, and how much you are a devotee, and Lord thinks of you. No, no, you are such a great devotee. Lord thinks of you. So if we know that I am connected to a very big person, and people are identifying me with the big person, so then it makes me more responsible. Are if I do anything wrong, what people will say? Are he is so and so Maharaj disciple, and still he is doing such thing, and it's like a disgrace. Oh no no no! I am connected to a big person. I cannot behave like this now. And that if you are very close to your Maharaj, and then they say, "Arey, you are so close to Maharaj, how can you behave like this?" And no, it's a disgrace. So we feel very careful when we are acting. So the same thing Swayambhu is saying, "Arey, you are so close to Lord that Lord is thinking of you, and how can you behave like this?" This is very important for us. That's why we should be connected to some great person. It helps us to, like now, if we do anything wrong with Tilak and Kantimala, people will not say anything to us. They'll say, "Arey, ISKCON people have done." So bad name goes to, it comes to Prabhupada, good also comes to Prabhupada because ISKCON. It is not me. We have to be very careful how we are behaving outside. When we are in public especially, we should be very gentlemanly. Why? Because we are representing something. So here also Drumar Swayambhu Manaskinari, you are representing whom? You are representing Supreme Lord only. Lord thinks of you. You are recognized by all. So this is also another thing. So your identity is different now. Now you are so close and you are identified like that. Is confidential devotees. Your life is meant for exemplary behavior. See, I am therefore surprised. Why have you undertaken such an abominable task? And then he says the Lord is very satisfied with his devotees when the devotees greet other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. And he says, okay, how is the devotee behaving? And this is, and we discussed this also. Fight uh, for right cause, but not uh, yeah, people fight for their rights, but they don't do duties. Actually, one more thing, it's not your action that determines the reaction, it's the attitude that determines the reaction. That also we discussed. And then now he starts giving them philosophical answer. One who actually satisfies Supreme Lord during one's lifetimes become liberated from gross and subtle material conditions. Thus, being freed from all material modes of nature, he achieves the ultimate spiritual bliss. So what we get is free from all material modes, achieves the ultimate spiritual bliss, which you have done. You satisfied the Lord. So what happens if we follow the qualities which are mentioned in 13? If we follow 13th verse, Lord will be pleased. So this 13th is all the qualities. Titikshava, Karunika, all this. And then he says that now he start telling about the creation. We say suddenly how creation came, because this will help us to separate ourselves from the body. So that is the main requirement for all of us. How to not get so much identifying with self, because if you are not identifying properly, then we start acting. If I am bodily conscious, I act for the body. So this is, let's say we need to understand, okay, how I am not the body very properly. And the creation of metal world begins with five elements, and thus everything, including body of a man, woman, and are all elements by sexual union. Then it increases. The same thing. No, Prakriti Kriyamana from Bhagavad Gita Prabhupada is saying. And Manu continued, my dear Dhruva, it is simply by illusory material energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and by the interaction of three modes that creation maintenance. So now he is telling, now he said creation happens with this, and then further turns into because of modes of material nature. And he says that, and what about the Supreme Lord? He is uncontaminated by the modes. He is the remote cause of creation of the material cosmic manifestation. When he gives the impetus, many other causes and effects are produced, and thus the whole universe moves just as iron moves by the integrated force of a magnet. So this is how Supreme Lord is Supreme Lord is the cause. Of course, with his energies, and then he says Supreme Personality of God by inconceivable supreme energy. Time causes the interaction of three modes. So here he gives about the time factor. So this is how the Lord is there in this time. All around Lord is there. He is affecting us in the form of time. From the time the class started till now, the power of Supreme Lord is working on us. It is working on all creatures. Ahani Ahani Bhutani and Ayur Harati Vaipumsam. All these things are telling the effect of time. We cannot know what is time because it is Supreme Lord. Even scientists also don't know. But we can know the effect of time. Like the causes the interaction of three modes of nature, and thus varieties of energy becomes manifest. So it appears that he is acting, but he is not the actor. He is killing, but he is not the killer. It does that is inconceivable power. Everything is happening. We should be afraid of Lord in terms. And yeah, and further he tells about time factor. He says that Supreme Lord is ever existing, but in the form of time. He is the killer of everything. He has no beginning, although he is the beginning of everything, nor he is ever exhaustible, although everything is exhausted in due course of time. The living entities are created through the agency of the Father and killed through the agency of death. But he is perpetually free of birth and death. So this is Prabhupada writing who killed Hitler. So time factor is such a important thing. We should know it is inconceivable. Prabhupada writing. The, the example can help us understand the inconceivable potency of Supreme Lord. It is very difficult. And then he says, okay, that is for the Supreme Lord. So what he is trying to do, Swayambhanu, he told that he is trying to establish connection between creation, Supreme Lord, and living entities. So creation, he explained how it is made of elements and modes. Now, what is Supreme Lord? It is time. And what is living entity? It is karma. You are seeing now how systematically explained. Now, here he tells about the Supreme Personality of God in his feature of eternal time is present in material world and is neutral. Okay, you are telling the creation is by elements and Lord is making. Then what about living entity? Lord is neutral. He is doing everything, but no one is his ally or no one is his enemy. Within the jurisdiction of time element, everyone enjoys or suffers result of their own karma. So this is how the living entity is connected or fruitive activity. So Lord is affecting on time based on karma. Your understanding? The Lord influences everything. Lord is only doing, but still he is neutral. How is he neutral? He is only doing everything. Yes, because he is doing based on your karma. One suffers or enjoys according to one's particular karma. That's all. As the wind blows, small particles of dust fly. So this is how Swayambhu Manu he established. First the creation, then the Supreme Lord, then the living entities. So these three things. Prakriti, Kshetra, Kshetrajna. And then he says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is all powerful. He awards the results of one's fruitive activities. Thus, although one living entity's duration of life is very it is small, whereas other is very great, he is always in his transcendental position, and there is no question of lessening or increasing his duration of life. So now it is not, Lord is not changing the duration of life of living. It is their karma that is decided. Because he awards the results of one's fruitive activities. Now, if your brother is dying early, you should understand that is the result of the fruitive activities. Now, he gives a few reasons for why a living entity goes through certain things. The differentiation among varieties of life and their suffering and enjoyment is explained by some to be the result of karma, others say it is due to nature, others say due to time, others say due to fate, others say it is due to desires. So here, okay, we will try to analyze this. So when we say that if it is one say it is some say it is result of karma. Karma is for the living entity. Some say it is nature. Nature is nature only, right? It is the elements, whatever is created. And then we have time. Time is Supreme Lord. Now, here we say, okay, karma. How karma? Because there is this fate is decided by Brahma. Another side is desire. Desire is of the subtle body. This is also subtle body. But here, actually, it is living entity, soul. More than subtle body is directly soul, we can say. This desire part. So this is called, this part is Gunamaya. Living nature is Gunamaya. This is Jivamaya. Because it's a living entity's desire that actually decides how person will how it reciprocates, because what happens is in gunamaya the material nature creates so many varieties in front of us. If the living entity don't have desire, nothing will affect, but because of our desire only everything is happening. Otherwise there is no material world. On material world is because the living entity want to enjoy independent of Lord, that's why we have it. Otherwise there is no question of material world, right? So we had to see, this is somebody says, oh, desire of living entity is called. No, no, Brahma wrote my fate. Brahma writes based on what? Your karma only. Elements are there, Supreme Lord are there. So all these things. This is also called Adrishta. Like that. So there are different philosophers, Mimamsakas, atheists, astronomers, sexualists, and other people. So and Prabhupada says the real conclusion is that it is our work that binds us within this material world in different varieties of life. How these varieties have sprung up is explained in Vedas is due to the desire of living entity. You see, it is desire is the main cause. Living entity is not dead stone. The absolute truth, transcendence, is never subjected to the understanding of imperfect sensory endeavor, nor is he subjected to direct experience. He is the master of varieties of energy, like the full material energy, and no one can understand his plans or actions. Therefore, it should be concluded that although he is the original cause of all causes, no one can know him by mental speculation. Now, he is trying to help that you don't try to figure out why the Lord is doing, why did this happen to you? No, there is no answer for certain questions. So, no answer for why. Because Supreme Lord is inconceivable. So therefore it should be concluded, although he is original cause of all causes, no one knows him by mental speculation, because Supreme Lord cannot be understood. So we cannot know why it is happening. Never subjected to understanding, nor is subjected to direct experience. We cannot know it at sensory experience, though it is. Prabhupada writes, the question may be raised since there are so many varieties of philosophies theorizing in different ways. Which of them is correct? Which is correct? Why it is happening? So basically, philosophy is for what? Philosophy is to know the answer. Why? What is this? Why? Why am I suffering? Because of this only all the philosophies come. If there is no suffering, nobody will become philosopher. Everybody will just enjoy only. When the suffering comes, we start thinking. That is where, well, there are three categories of people we discuss. One is the people who think, sorry, people who don't think, because they know already the answer. What is the answer? Sense gratification. Their already senses are so much programmed in enjoyment, mind is so much programmed in enjoyment. We can see most of the people around, they don't even think. They know the answers already for their questions. They say, yeah, I just figure out how to enjoy and then make some adjustment to enjoy. There are some people who start thinking, and they people are very miserable because they are completely confused. And all of us, we come in that category. We start thinking. And that is very important that we start thinking so that we make elevated in our consciousness and everything. So then comes the person who need not think because he knows everything. That is Krishna. Krishna need not think. He knows already. We are thinking. Whenever we are preaching, what we do, we try to make others people think because they stopped thinking. Preaching is basically helping people to think. Why are you suffering? Then only comes philosophy. But the then comes the question why? Why am I suffering? Why am I suffering? And all the any theories and all, ultimately the main question is why am I suffering only? So Prabhupada is telling the question, there are so many philosophies theorizing in different ways. Which of them is correct? Prabhupada saying the answer is absolute truth, is transcendence, is never subjected to direct experience or mental speculations. Dr. Frog Prabhupada gives the example. The person may be a great academician, scholar, professor, but he cannot speculate and expect to understand absolute truth from for his senses are limited. So it is not possible to understand the Lord with our limited senses. Prabhupada gives the example of clouds covering the sun. And no one can say that he has discovered a torchlight so powerful that if one goes on a roof and focus the torchlight on the night sky, the sun will then be seen. No, there is no such torchlight. The word Abhyakta, unmanifest in this verse, indicates that the absolute truth cannot be manifested by any strain of so-called scientific advancement or knowledge. With the science, it is not possible. It is very gross level of looking things in this world. With science, we cannot even understand what is emotions, love, and all. It's very difficult for science to explain. If I say I like certain things, science cannot give any reason why you like certain things. There is no logic. It is very difficult with science to get answers. I love my mother. Science cannot tell why you love. I love blue color. Science cannot give reason for it. We can give reason for it. Why we love, why I like blue color, why I like certain things. We can give some explanations, but science cannot give such things. Not possible because they look things very, very gross. Transcendence is not the subject matter of direct experience. Absolute truth may be known in some ways as the sun covered by the cloud or covered by night. For when the sun rises in the morning, it is in its own way, then everyone can see the sun. Everyone can see the world and everyone can see himself. This understanding of self-realization is called Atma Tattva. And purpose is how, unless, however, one comes to this point of understanding Atma Tattva, one remains in darkness which is born. This is called Andattamah Pravishyanti. In that shloka, Ishopanishad, this is very important. Please try to understand. What is so that if you cultivate, if you are in ignorance, you go to hell. But if you have knowledge, you cultivate this knowledge, you go to darker prisons. What does it mean? It means, of course, many meanings are there. One is karma and jnana. But here also it means that they uh, they are covered with avatam jnanam etena. So their knowledge is covered with ignorance. Their so-called knowledge, that is danger ignorance. This is the scientist that they are covered with. Like say, Prabhupada gives the example of, I think, a Mridanga player. Boy goes to a teacher and says, I don't know Mridanga. He says 100 rupees. Other boy comes and says, I know little Mridanga. He says 200 rupees. He says, because you are already filled with some ignorance. I had to remove that ignorance first. So in the name of knowledge, these people have ignorance only. They are cultivating ignorance. That is why it is very difficult for them to understand, which is some simple concepts which some simple housewife in India can understand. Even children in India can understand that you are not the body, spirit, soul. But this is understood by Indians very easily. You don't need much endeavor to make here in India. So and so person died, the soul left. People will say yes, yes, no, soul left. They accept very easily. But big scientists are not able to accept. Why? Because their brains are filled with all ignorance. Your understanding. That is the problem. Such simple concepts are not understood by them. They say, what is the proof that I know you, Ian Stevenson is making 2000 experiments. Can you imagine what a colossal waste of time? I know without any experiment, without any research, we all accepted it. I know 2000 experiments here goes all over the world, out of body experiences, near body experiences, and he writes a whole huge book with it. And then people read it and then they say, maybe there may be. So even then also they are not able to understand because their brains are filled with all ignorance. That's why it is not possible only. They are covered with this, when Ishopanishad, we have this shloka, but uh, Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitamuktam. Just try, remove the curtain so that I can see your face. Prabhupada writes this curtain is like Mayavadis and so try to establish Lord as a person. But Baldev with emotions is this curtain also called mode of passion. So mode of passion covers us from looking at the world. So Hiranmayana Patrena also remove the veil of the curtain. Is also means that because of passion. So people, because of their passionate knowledge and all, they are not able to understand some simple concepts which are easy in India to understand, at least for now. Even that is also going away, unfortunately. And this understanding of self-realization called Atmatat. Unless, however, one comes to the point of understanding Atmatat, one remains in darkness in which he was born. Under the circumstances, no one can understand the plan of the Supreme Personality of God. Lord is equipped with varieties of energies. Parasha Shaktir, Vividhaiva Shoiti. And so many energies Lord has. This is very important. The materialist scientists see proper reading. The material scientists can simply study the partial understanding of varieties of energies. He can take up one of the energies and try to understand it with limited knowledge, but still it's not possible. I'll tell one nice, even in science also, after some level, people, the logic don't work, even science also. Even scientists understand. Like we say, na, logic don't work in bhakti. Initially, we give some logic to explain, but in bhakti, there is no logic after some time. It's all love. Love means bhakti means spontaneous, no logic. We can keep all the books aside and happily after the stage of bhava. Of course, we still read the pastime of Krishna, but we don't need so much logic and all these things. Same thing is applicable in science also. If you go to quantum mechanics, if you quantum physics, after some level, they don't know why the particle behaves in certain way. Even if we are taking example of light, the particle it behaves like a particle, sometimes becomes like a wave. So inconceivable. Why it is behaving wave in a particular place, why it is a particle in some place, it cannot be understood. This is inconceivable. Even in science also, there are so many things like that. Because it's energy of Lord. How Lord is unlimited, the energy is also unlimited. No matter how much we do research, we can never end. So they thought atom is the smallest particle. Then they understood no, there are electrons, protons, neutrons. Then they understood no, there are subatomic particles also. More and more we are going deeper, it is becoming unlimited only. Why? Because it is Supreme Lord. That is the point. Anything comes from the Supreme Lord is unlimited. We cannot find. And it cannot be understood by logic. Even in science, also, after some places, they say it's like that, just follow. They also say this. No material scientist can foretell what is going to happen in future. The Bhakti Yoga process is completely different from so-called scientific advancement of knowledge. A devotee completely surrenders unto the Supreme who reveals himself by his causeless message. So this is the only way we can understand. Tadami buddhi yogam tam. I give intelligence. What is this intelligence? Yenama upayante. Lord gives one intelligence to cross over the ocean of nations and come back home, back to God. In conclusion, the cause of all causes, the absolute truth of the Supreme Brahman cannot be understood by philosophical speculation, but he reveals himself to his devotees. He reveals himself to his devotees because the devotees fully surrender unto the lotus feet of Lord. That is the only way. If any intelligent man wants to know God, he should study the transcendental literature under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Then it is very easy to understand Krishna as he is. There is no other way we can understand. This is Bhaktyama Abhijanat Yavan is just only by Bhakti because this is revealed in a different way. And my dear son, those Yakshas who are descendants of Kuvera are not actually the killers of your brother. The birth and death of every living entity are caused by the Supreme, who is certainly the cause of all causes. So now he is trying to tell that what you are thinking that these Yakshas did, but they did not do only. They are just an instrument. It's ultimately Lord who decided, and Lord also does not decide on his own. He is neutral. He decides as a time factor he's entering and he's doing, but ultimately he's also not doing. He's doing based on the karma, and karma is based on the activities and desires, right? Like that. So he gave a very nice philosophical point. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead creates this material world, maintains it, annihilates in due course of time. But because his transcendental to such activities is never affected by ego in such an action or by the modes of material nature. So even if you think Supreme Lord did, he did not do out of ego or he is not influenced by modes of nature. No, he just did based on what person deserves. That's all. So Supreme Lord is not responsible for it. Supreme Lord is not responsible for the result because he's if we are see that's why it is very important here that action does not determine the result. I told this also. This is our Bhagavad Gita formula. You can kill and still be a good person, and you can go to forest and you can be villain. That is Bhagavad Gita philosophy. Go to forest, be villain. Fight and be a saintly person. That means what? So action, the result of action is based on attitude. What motivations? So this is actually most important thing. With what motive we are doing, that determines the result, not the action itself. If I am even fighting also, you can be a saintly person if your motivation is correct. So we'll not put it. We'll write motivation. This is what our philosophy, Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because there is no ego involved. If you don't want to get prakriti kriyamanani, gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma kattahamitu manyate. Ahankara vimudhatma. Because but it is done by prakriti. Three modes are doing, but out of false ego we are thinking the doers. Then we get affected. Otherwise, no. Prabhupada writings. The word ahankara means without ego. The conditioned soul has a false ego, and a result of his karma, he gets different types of bodies in the material world. Sometimes he gets the body of a demigod and he thinks that the body to be his identity. Similarly, when he gets the body of a dog, he identifies himself with the body. But for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no such distinction between body and the soul. Bhagavad Gita therefore certifies that anyone who thinks of Krishna as an ordinary human being is without knowledge of his transcendental nature and is a great fool. So it is Lord don't get affected. Even we can also not get affected if we are not involving our ego in action. That is the formula. Why we get results, why we get affected is ego is there. Ahankara vimudhatma. I am doing, I am doing, I am doing. My. Finish. So Prabhupada Lord says, Arjuna, you and I have many birth previously, but I remember everything whereas you. This is the difference between living entity and Supreme Lord. He has no material body. And Krishna has no false ego, for he does not identify himself with the false temporary bodies. God is always eternal. He descends to this material world. एष भूतानि भूतात्मा भूतेषु भूतभावनः स्वशक्त्या मायया युक्तः छजत् अत्ति च पीत च. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the super soul of all living entities, he is the controller and maintainer of everyone. Through the agency of his externality, he creates, maintains, and annihilates everything. So there are two types of energies which Lord is working in this mental world. And it's all Parasha Shakti Vividhaiva Shruyate Swabhavaki Jnana Bala Kriya. त्वमेव मृत्युम् अमृतं तादैवं सर्वात्मनोपेहि जगत्प्रयाणम् यस्मै बलं विश्वसृजो हरन्ति गावो यथा वै नशिधाम यन्त्रका. My dear my dear boy Dhruva, please surrender unto Supreme Lord, who is ultimate goal of the progress of the world. Everyone, including the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, is working under his control, just as a bull prompted by a rope in his nose is controlled by its owner. So he is like that. Gavo yata vai nishidhama yantrita. So this is how, as a bull is controlled, everybody is controlled. So Prabhupada writes nice purport. He says, The material disease is to declare independence on the supreme controller. Actually, our material existence begins when we forget the supreme controller. So everyone in material is trying his best to become the supreme controller. Dhruva Maharaj was advised stop fighting by his grandfather, who was concerned that Dhruva was adhering to the personal ambition to fight to annihilate the whole race of Yakshas. See, this is what is. Ambition is not correct. It's personal ambition. This is a no. Now you should stop. So Dhruva was Swayambhu Manu seek to uh, eradicate the last tinge of false ambition in Dhruva by explaining the position of supreme controller. The words Mrityum Amritam, death and immortality are significant. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, I am ultimate death, who takes away everything from the demons. Kalosin Lokakshaya. So Prabhupada is writing, one may put forward the argument, why are demigods worshipped? The answer is given here, the demigods are worshipped by less intelligent men. The demigods themselves accept sacrifice for the ultimate satisfaction of Supreme Personality of God. So we'll take the 8th verse. यत्पञ्चवर्षो जननीं त्वमयाय मातुः सपत्या वचसा भिन्नमार्मा वनं गतस्तपसा प्रत्यक्षम् आराध्यलेभे मृदुनी पद्मत्रिलोक्या. My dear Dhruva, at the age of 5, or at the age of only 5, you have very grievously affected by the words of your mother's wife, and you very boldly gave up the protection of your mother and went to the forest to engage in yogic process for self-realization of Supreme Lord. As the result of this, you have already achieved the topmost position in all the three worlds. So now Manu is again reminding of his exalted position. Arey, Dhruva, you could give up so easily. No, why are you you gave up that time? So Manu was very proud that Dhruva Maharaj was one of the descendant of his family because at the age of only 5 years, Dhruva began meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Within 6 months, he was able to see the Supreme Lord face to face. Factually, Dhruva Maharaj is the glory of Manu dynasty or the human family. The human family begins from Manu. The Sanskrit word for man is Manusha. That means descendants of Manu. Not only is Dhruva Maharaj the glory of family of Swayambhu Manu, but he is the glory of entire human society because Dhruva Maharaj has already surrendered to Supreme Lord. He further says, so he is telling, is reminding of his glory. तमेव अगात्मनि मुक्त विग्रहे व्यापाश्रितं निर्गुणमेक अक्षरम् आत्मानमविञ्च विमुक्तमात्मदृक् यस्मिन् इदं भेदमसत् प्रतीयते. My dear Dhruva, please therefore turn your attention to the Supreme Person who is infallible Brahman. Face the Supreme Personality of God in his original position, and thus, by self relation, you will find this material differentiation to be merely flickering. So, this is another solution he gave. He told the philosophy, now he's telling the application part. So, what is the application part? Application is meditate on Supreme Lord. So, what will happen? You will transcend. So, that's what he's telling. Turn your attention to Supreme Lord, and thus by self-realization you will find material differentiation to be merely flickering. So you will transcend the problems which you are facing. The Prabhupada is writing that the living entity has three kinds of vision according to their position in self-realization, according to the bodily concept of life. One sees differentiation in terms of varieties of body. The living entity actually passes through many varieties of middle forms, but despite all such changes of body, is eternal. When living entity, therefore, are viewed in the bodily concept of life, one appears to be different from another. Lord Manu wants to change the vision of Dhruva. You see what Manu is trying to do? Change the vision of, and vision changes based on the consciousness. What consciousness I see the world accordingly. If I change my consciousness, my vision changes. Change the vision of Dhruva, who is looking upon Yakshas as different from him or as his enemies. Factually, no one is one as an enemy or a friend. Everyone is passing through different types of body under the laws of karma. But as soon as one is situated in his spiritual identity, he does not see differentiation in terms of this law. So this is a very important point. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nasochati Nakamshati. Samas Sarveshu Bhuta. She is equal of. The devotee who is already liberated does not see differentiation in terms of outward body. He sees all living entities spirit souls. Clear? Thus, regarding your natural position and rendering service unto Supreme Lord, who is all powerful, preserver of all pleasure, and who lives in all living entities super soul, you will very soon forget the illusory understanding of I and mind. This is such a nice instruction because very difficult for us to give up. When we have I and mind, immediately it causes all the dualities. So, proper writing. Dhruva Maharaj was already a liberated person because at the age of 5 he could see Supreme Lord. But even though liberated, he was for the time being afflicted by illusory Maya, thinking himself the doer of Uttama in the bodily concept of himself and the brother of Uttama in the bodily concept. The whole material world is working on the basis of I and mind. Thus, this is the root of uh, attraction of mental world. If one is attracted by its roots of illusory concepts and mind, he will have to remain within the material world in different exalted or nasty positions. You see, very nice point. If we remain in this conception, then we get so many bodies. That's all. So we are envious if we are having I and mind. My dear Dhruva, just consider what I have said to you, which will act as a medicinal treatment upon disease. Control your anger, for anger is the foremost enemy on the path of spiritual revelation. I wish all good fortune for you. Please follow my instructions. He just concluded the uh, all his instructions. Such a nice instructions by Dhruma to his grandfather. A person who desires liberation from material world should not fall under the control of anger because when bewildered by anger, one becomes a source of dread for all others. Prabhupada writes, a devotee or saintly person should not be dreadful to others, nor should anyone be a source of dread to him. If one treats others with nominality, non-mentality, then no one will become his enemy. This is the example of, however, of Jesus Christ, who had no enemies and they crucified him. The demonics are always present. They find faults even in saintly persons. But a saintly persons never become angry, but even if there is very great provocation. See how many shlokas. Oh, two. My dear Dhruva, you thought that Yaksha killed your brother, and therefore you had killed great number of them. But by this action, you have agitated the mind of Lord Shiva's brother Kuvera, who is the treasurer of demigods. Please note that your actions have been very disrespectful to Kumara and Shiva. So now here Prabhupada writes that Lord Manu stated that Dhruva Maharaj has been offensive to Lord Shiva and his brother because Yakshas belong to them. They are not ordinary. So Dhruva is telling now you just have to pacify these personalities. So you don't want to take risk. You kill your people who are connected to it. It's like you are trying to make enmity with me if you kill my people. For this reason, my son, you should immediately pacify Kuvera with gentle words and praise, and thus with his breath may not affect our family. So in our common dealings, we should maintain friendship with everyone and certainly with such exalted demigods as Kuvera. You see, even for us also it is applicable. We should also friendly with demigods, don't offend them. Our behavior should be such that no one should become angry and therefore commit a wrong to individuals, families, and societies. And the last sloka of the chapter. Swayambhu Manu, after giving instructions to Dhruva Maharaj, his grandson, received received respectful obeisances unto him. Then Manu and the great sages went back to their respective homes. Thus ends the purport of the fourth canto, 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Swayambhu Manu advises Dhruva Maharaj to stop fighting. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments? Yes, bro.
Hare Krishna,
Shubham.
Prabhu. Dandavat Pranams,
Yes.
Prabhu. Prabhu, two quick questions, Prabhu. First one on the desire. When we say, at least my understanding is that desire is an important driver for whatever be the situation of life, Prabhu. But philosophically, if you look at it, when we come from the spiritual world, the desire of enjoying separate from Krishna, it does not seem to become true, right, Prabhu? In that case, we only kind of get into miseries, right? Although our desire was to enjoy.
We actually Anandamaya Abhyasa is the desire of living and to enjoy, but it is wrongly enjoying. That's the only problem. We have
Mm.
to enjoy only. In the
Mm.
spiritual world, in Brahman or anywhere, we
Mm.
always work on enjoying. Only
Mm.
thing is we wrongly enjoy, either matter or with Krishna. So choice
Mm.
we made wrong choice. Otherwise, enjoyment is there for living entity.
Okay, okay. And we can say that the karma, the consequences of it, everything is driven by desire only. As far as it is right desire, then the consequences will also be right, is what you are saying, Prabhu.
Yes.
Okay, okay, Prabhu. Prabhu, second question, Prabhu. On the false ego, Prabhu, to say that the again the root of the problems are all the false ego of I and mine. I just wanted to know, Prabhu, as far as we live in this material world, we live in this body only, Prabhu. So it seems the sustenance, the very existence in the material world is based on that identification of the body. So is that practically possible to kind of go out of that conception, even when we are involved in devotional service, Prabhu, even if you are kind of aligned to serving? service to Krishna in this life?
It happens on its own, bro. We get so much attached to Krishna
Mm.
that our identification with the body slowly reduces.
Mm.
We consider ourselves body only, but we don't act as a body. That is the
Okay.
point. We act
Oh.
as servant of Krishna. So that's the
Mm.
difference that happens.
Okay.
Like now, say we are sitting and hearing Bhagavatam, we chant.
Mm.
Morning we wake up, we chant, we do our
Mm.
daily services, we do Bhagavatam.
Mm.
Evening again we have. So whole day we are doing activities as a servant of Krishna.
Mm.
Even though I identify with the body, but my actions are of a servant of Krishna, like that.
Okay. 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 So the identification itself is not a problem per se, Prabhu.
Actually, now we are identifying ourselves as servant of Krishna and devotees of Krishna. At least some part we are doing it. So to that
Mm.
degree, we are doing services.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So
Mm.
more we identify ourselves servant of Krishna, the
Mm.
more we start doing to him. And then our
Okay.
bodily identification, it becomes less and less.
Mm. 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 Okay.
Like,
Okay. Okay. Mm. Okay. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hari. Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you all very much. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, हरि बोल।